And welcome back, everybody, to the TV show. We're down one. Our most popular person not here, Angelo. It's just Angela Cataldi and me, Jay Black. Rhea is on vacation, probably getting a tan down at the shore without us. So, Angelo, I want to start by saying we talked about what we're going to talk about on our first segment way early last week. You had sent me an article from The Atlantic to talk about. Before we say anything else, you are an old writer. When I say old writer, you used to write before your radio days.
No, you're right. I'm old. That's correct.
But how great is it to be able to read a long form magazine piece like this? It like took me back to the glory days of my college years when I would subscribe to every magazine I possibly could. And just, you'd get these long, I mean, this was like a 20,000 word article. It was just beautiful.
It was great. And it completely demolished Chris Licht,
yes,
who destroyed CNN in a little over a year. He ran it.
Yeah.
And what I insisted on this, I'm going to tell you why, Jake, because I was mocking you in previous episodes because you kept bringing up the name David Zaslov, who runs Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns like a third of all the important stations in America.
Yes.
And then I read the Chris Licht piece in The Atlantic, and I went, how does somebody that awful get hired? Well, there's only one answer to that. And this is a central thing that everybody listening to this podcast knows about. It's the Peter principle. It's, a guy like Chris Licht gets that job because the guy above him, David Zaslov, is no better at his job than Chris Licht was at his.
Yeah.
Incompetence promoting incompetence. And what made me think about it, I'm writing this book right now. In fact, it's already on Amazon for pre-order, number 14 on the radio new releases. Hello.
Wow. Well, hold on. Wait. I'm going to put a link in our show notes.
Yet. It's not even fully edited yet.
But if
they posted it, and it got some sales.
Well, listen, it should be bought by every single person listening to this. So you got to send me the link, Angelo, because this is big. It's a big deal.
It's not out till Thanksgiving. But here's the thing. All right, so and in this book, I'm telling about a boss I had at WIP.
Yeah.
One day, it came after the weekend where Evander Holyfield got his ear bitten off by Mike Tyson. The whole world's talking about it.
Yes.
I start the show the Monday, and I'm talking about it. It's what I'm supposed to do.
Right. Yeah.
Get to the break. The boss is on the line. 6:10 in the morning.
Right.
Get off this topic, Cataldi. We don't talk boxing on WIP.
You're kidding me.
I said, fire me. And I said, I went crazy. The whole thing was. But anyway, the bottom line was he doesn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was a boss with no clue. And this David Zaslov. So I did a little research here. I still don't fully understand how a man who has no idea what he's doing gets to be this powerful. And guy was at Discovery.
If I might just say, not just this powerful, we talked about it last week, $500 million worth of this powerful. That's how much money he's made.
And here's the thing. Here were the shows that were when he was at Discovery, Jim. Dirtiest Jobs, Monster Garage, American Chopper, and Deadliest Catch, which was good for a while and is now a corpse. It's over. It's been on for 25 years, right? Yeah. They don't even have a new idea on the David Zaslov. He got one popular show and he wrote it to death.
Right.
The guy is horrible. So how did he get that kind of power? You know how they do it, Jay?
No, what?
It's the schmooze.
Yeah.
They know how to work the smoky back rooms, the conference rooms, and all those calls and conversations they have at glad handing a cocktail party. These guys don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
HBO went from The Sopranos, maybe the greatest show ever, free David Zaslov.
Yeah.
To The Idol, which is a steaming pile of crap.
Yes.
Under David Zaslov. What else do you need to know?
It's Angelo, I think that the biggest lie that anyone can tell you is that we live in a meritocracy. I think that merit does come to the top, but more than anything else, like you said, if you have the right look, if you have the right attitude, and if you shake the right hands, you get to be pushed into a position of power. Just to go back to this Atlantic article, it was written by Tim Alberta. I want to give him the credit because he wrote a phenomenal article.
Great.
I didn't know that Chris Licht was a TV producer. I thought that he was involved in journalism at some point. He ran Joe Scarborough's show on MSNBC, Scarborough Country, and then Morning Joe. Then he went to Stephen Colbert and did the Stephen Colbert show at CBS. A good show. I mean, nothing spectacular. I mean, they were well run. He did the CBS Morning Show. I guess that's where he got his news credentials. But it seemed a weird resume to be placed in charge of an entire network's worth of shows. You know,
Joe Scarborough. Yeah, anybody could produce that show. It's Joe Scarborough.
Right.
He's the one doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
That's Stephen Colbert. Who's doing that show? Stephen Colbert. Yes, Morning Show, which, by the way, has always been a failure for years and years. There's really nobody there that's the guy or the girl. In the case of Gail, what's her last name?
Gail King.
Yeah, like Gail King. She's talented. I'm not saying she isn't, but that show's not successful.
No.
How did these guys get it? It's crazy that they do, but they ruin our experience at TV because there are better people out there than these people who 100%. Should be in positions of power, greenlighting the right projects and making the right television. As long as Zaslov is there and Licht is there, we're screwed.
Well, and you know what's interesting is, like, you know, the entire article was built around that Trump town hall.
Yep.
And without getting into politics, again, if you want to see my politics, go to my Twitter. Don't come here to this website or this podcast. But the thing that was interesting, every single person involved in it told Chris Licht it was a mistake.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, we're a left-leaning network, let's not do it. It was like, you're setting this up incorrectly. I don't know why you're doing it. What's the point? At one point, Chris Licht said, I didn't do it for ratings. I didn't do it for money. We're losing money on it. Then why did you do it, Chris Licht? What was the point if you didn't? It was
how
a
you
mistake.
know the guy's a moron, all right? After it was a national embarrassment, he doubled down. Yeah, no, it accomplished what I set out to do. No, it didn't.
Destroy the network.
It got you fired. And you didn't even see it after the fact. He couldn't see his mistake. Yeah. That is what incompetent people do. They didn't know what to do beforehand, and after it blows up in their face, they don't even realize it did.
Right.
And then they hate these people. Oh.
And you know, David Zaslov, who I've been attacking on this show for a long time, you brought it up, the Idol as indicative of the kind of ship that he's running. He created reality shows. And in all honesty, the Discovery Network was the Taco Bell of TV. You know how Taco Bell has 3 ingredients that they just move around? Yep. So we got some bean, we got some cheese and some shredded meat, and now we got a new product. Discovery Networks was the same way. How many different ways can you flip a house was what David Zaslov came up with. Those shows are cheap to produce, and people watch them in doctors' offices when they're waiting for their appointment long enough that they all turn a profit. But that is a much different skill set than creating a bespoke show that the entire country talks about, like Succession. How many what was the last time you were in a dinner party and somebody goes, oh, did you see yesterday's flip or flop? It was amazing. That's never happened once. It's disposable television is what he made his bones on, not TV that anyone cares about.
The last word on it. This is what you call chutzpah, all right?
Yes.
So while he is now, Zaslov is slashing billions in payroll. Do you know what he got just last year?
No.
You know what he got? $243 million.
I want to throw up
for developing shows like The Idol. Yeah. This is a travesty. You were right to point out what a hack Zaslov is. And now I plan to bring him up every week to remind people that one of my favorite places to watch shows, HBO, has now been taken prisoner by a hack, by an idiot, by somebody who can't do the job Thank you, David Zaslov.
That is a great final word. I will say this: the HBO. I have one show. I was trying to figure out what I was excited about. There's one show coming up. It's a pre-David Zaslov show. Winning Time is coming back. I don't know if you saw the trailer came out yesterday.
Okay.
I'm still excited about Winning Time. I will be watching Winning Time, but I don't see anything else in the future of HBO that gets me going.
That's the problem. That's it.
So, okay, we have the first happened over the weekend, and that was the first ever dual release on Disney Plus and Hulu at the same time. You know, Angelo, in most of the world, Hulu doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Hulu is a Disney Plus subset, and people have been saying, when is Hulu going to be folded into Disney Plus? Probably sooner rather than later. But the name of the show is called Flamin Hot, and it was directed by Eva Longoria from Desperate Housewives, which she can direct me whenever she wants, just as an FYI. And it's a really interesting story about how a janitor at Frito-Lay helped invent the Flaming Hot Cheeto and went on to become a big-time executive at Frito-Lay. And which is a wonderful story, with the small exception of the fact that it's not true. And according to Frito-Lay, none of this happened. Now, he was a janitor who did go on to be an executive, which is a great story in and of itself. But him telling everybody how to make the Frito-Lay Flaming Hot recipe and making that suggestion, according to Frito-Lay, it never happened. So my question to you is, we watch a lot of movies that purport to be based on a true story. How much do you care about that? Does it matter to you whether or not it's actually true? Do you care about the story first? Does it only matter in the documentary? When do you care if the story is true?
This is a great question. And I got to tell you, based solely on you pointing this out to me a couple of days ago, I sat down yesterday and watched Flaming Hot. All right. Yeah. In fact, I even watched half of it on Disney and half of it on Hulu. I don't know.
You're the one who did that.
I was very curious at the beginning to see if they would say based on a true story.
Yeah.
No, it said nothing at the beginning.
Wow.
I watched the whole show. I really liked it. I mean, it was a really good story. Yeah. It was a fascinating story, true or false. Richard and Judy Montañez was a couple just scraping by. And this guy sees all of the people in the Mexican community who love putting spice on Doritos and stuff like that. And he comes up with the idea. And by the end of it, I realized something. Because at the end, they showed you the people it was based on.
Right.
At no point did they say that it was anywhere close to true. What I realized is I wasn't watching a documentary. I was watching a movie. Right. And it was really good.
Right.
So I don't care. I mean, I don't care one bit, Jack, because I was entertained a lot by the movie. And if they wanted to play fast and loose with the facts, that's okay, as long as they're not doing it in documentary form. Did you like the movie?
I did. And I agree with you. And I think back to one of my all-time favorite movies, Fargo, by the Coen brothers. And they put based on a true story on the front of that movie, which, Angelo, they thought was funny because it was a completely made up story.
Oh.
And for years, people have thought that Fargo is based on a true story. And the question I would have is, whether or not it was based on a true story, did you enjoy your time watching it?
That's it.
And if the answer is yes, then great. That's all that matters.
And you know how many things I watch now that don't entertain me? Yeah. And I sat down with that. And the guy that played Richard Montañez, the janitor who came up with it,
he was great.
Terrific job. He was a great actor. He was great. I just bought in when he became this famous guy. I got misty. It was like, and it even had a little bit of a Disney vibe to it, in that it was a happy story with a great ending. It's worth your time. It's an hour and a half, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I support Eva Longoria as a director just because she's smoking hot. She's flaming hot herself, but she did a good job. She was excellent work all around. All right, so let's switch over now to Teen Corner. I've brought my son back on the show. We can't have Rhea, but we can have Keane. I'm taking off my headphones so we can bring Keane. Can you hear? Hold on, Angela. I think we lost sound. Hold on. I'm going to put this back in. Sorry, everybody, you got sound issues here. All right, I got Keane here. Keane, you are a movie nerd.
Yes.
Extraordinary. And we usually have Rhea in to talk about what movies that her son has been watching. I wanted to talk about two things with you. One, you are going to go see on your birthday a double feature.
A double feature. Yes, I will. I'm going to be doing a double feature. So my birthday is July 22nd.
Right.
And on July 21st, there's two movies coming out. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer and the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be funny to see them back to back.
And what I thought was funny about this, Angelo, is that my other children are aghast at the idea of seeing two movies in the same afternoon. They're like, who has the time to sit through that? Are you a double features guy, Angelo? Did you?
I grew up on it.
Right. Yeah.
Movie houses. Let me tell you something, Keane. Not only two movies, we would get a cartoon or two. And if you're really old, you might even get a newsreel.
You're not old enough for newsreels, are you, Angelo?
People spent the afternoon on a Saturday in the movie house watching movies. And here's the thing. Here's why I know that I'm right, that Keane's on the right track with this. All right? Because all these kids, including your own kids, Jay,
yeah,
they're going to be sitting in front of a screen playing video games for more than that amount of time. Better to see a movie.
100%.
Thank you.
And now that said, I do want to say, we always say what Rhea's kid is watching. I have to admit that I'm a terrible parent, and my son wanted to do Kubrick. So this week we've been sitting through Kubrick movies together. So he's watched Full Metal Jacket.
Great movie.
He's watched Clockwork Orange, which was probably my biggest mistake as a parent. Yeah. And we watched The Shining. We just got done The Shining.
I just finished that right.
So Keane, what do you give Kubrick at a scale of 1 to 10?
11. Also 2001.
2001. Although he did watch 2001 on his phone, Angelo, which I would not suggest doing.
You can't watch a Kubrick on a phone. And
no.
The other thing. Do not yet watch Eyes Wide Shut. You're not ready for it.
He told me he was very ready for it. No, I don't understand.
No, but you know what? Here's what I take from this. You have 3 children, Jack?
Yes, I do.
Keane's the bright one, right? He's like because I love that this kid is doing. How old is he?
He's 15. He'll be 16.
God bless you, Keane. You have good taste. You're following in your dad's footsteps. Are you going to write movies someday?
I mean, I have plenty of ideas, so maybe, who knows?
Right. I'm very impressed.
Well, thank you for joining us, son. I appreciate your time. You have a good one. Yeah, no, he's very into finding a director and sticking through and watching all of their stuff. So Kubrick was his plan this week. And my wife thankfully does not know what A Clockwork Orange is about, because I think I would get in big trouble if she knew that I let him see that.
Yeah, he's too young for that, but Eyes Wide Shut, he will enter puberty the moment
Let me ask you a question. Are you a fan of that movie?
Eyes Wide Shut? I'm a fan of Nicole Kidman.
All right, well, fair enough. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I was a little disappointed, but I've come to recognize it as a late period masterpiece by Stanley Kubrick.
Absolutely.
All right, Angelo, what do you got for us this week?
All right. Well, I felt a little extra pressure because Rhea's not here, so I got a few things that you might want to check out. One you should check out. It's old school. It's an old school ethnic romantic comedy written and directed and starring Ray Romano. Right now, it's called Somewhere in Queens.
Yeah,
and it's really good. And
I've seen the ads.
Yep, it's on demand. I don't think at this point it's anywhere else yet. Although you could probably get it on Prime. You're gonna have to pay. But Somewhere in Queens, it is just, the more I'm watching it, and you got the Italian stereotypes. They're at weddings and other events, and there's a lot of infighting within the family and all that stuff. I don't want to give away the plot, but the bottom line is that they don't make movies like this anymore, ever. And you watch it and you go, these kind of movies, there's still a spot for them somewhere.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a blockbuster anymore, but it's entertaining and it's fun. And Ray Romano is still excellent at just making you like his character.
Yes, very much so.
There's one other thing about this movie that is puzzling. In it, in a highly minor role, doing nothing exciting or interesting, is Sebastian Maniscalco.
Really?
Now, he's doing big movies. He's in a
Yeah.
movie with De Niro right now. And he also did his latest Netflix comedy special, which was awful.
Which we did not like, yes.
But so we're watching a movie. I watch it with my wife, and I go, how did they get Sebastian Maniscalco in a nothing subordinate role? And Gail said to me, he probably owed Ray Romano a favor.
Yeah.
Because he is, you will not be entertained by him at all in it. He's a minor spot in a movie with other, people that you will recognize and enjoy. You should try it. Somewhere in Queens. It is available now on demand and probably on Prime. All right, a couple others you could check out if you're looking for just unusual things. I am thrilled to announce, now back on Hulu, all of season 16. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Beautiful.
Ben Howerton from Blackberry, where he's bald. He's got hair again. And I watched the first one, and it's fantastic.
It's great.
Always Sunny is back. They're going to actually go to the Mann Center in Philadelphia and do a podcast where they're letting people come in to watch them interact.
Wow.
The show's great. I was so late to that party, but you should check out It's Always Sunny, season 16, now available on Hulu Plus. I waited till the season was over to recommend this. I love Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
He played 11 seasons of Saul Goodman.
Yes, he did.
And both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's over now, the first season, Lucky Hank. I was on the fence for a while with it.
Right.
Because he's not Saul Goodman. Totally different guy. He's a professor with a lot of dark stuff going on in his life. It's good. You should check it out. AMC Plus. And one more. If you're looking for garbage TV, but better than what David Zaslov would offer, I discovered this by accident and became addicted to it. On A&E, new episodes every Tuesday at 9, also available on Amazon Prime. Customer Wars.
Customer Wars.
It is video people obtain. It's not really cut. They needed some sort of a term.
Right.
It's people acting horribly.
Right.
In real life. How they
beautiful.
got them to sign off to show their faces, I can't tell you. But this is people knocking each other on their ass, fights, wild things happening in restaurants, crazy. And you watch one of them, Jay, it's going to be hard not to keep watching it. It's addictive.
Is this on A&E, you're saying?
Well, it's part of the wars. They got a whole bunch of it.
They have like parking wars, I remember. Yeah.
It started with parking wars, which I really liked a lot.
I remember.
They got like 5 different wars. I think Customer Wars you will enjoy.
One thing about that Lucky Hank, I did not know when we first talked about it, I think, is that it's based on the Richard Russo book, Straight Man, which I loved that book back when it came out in the early 2000s, late 1990s. He also did a book called Nobody's Fool that was turned into a great movie with Paul Newman, one of his late career turns.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah. So there's a good pedigree there. And I'm hoping that, because I think that one's an FXX, right? You have to, or AMC.
AMC. You got AMC. It's all of the stuff that I think most of the stuff that Bob Odenkirk has done is AMC. I think he's part of a family now. And it's good. I'm not saying it's as good as Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul,
right?
But it'll keep your attention, and it lands the ending. The ending of the first season, it lands it. It's good. Right. It's a good ending. I'm
a big fan of his, and I will definitely check that out. All right. Last thing that I wanted to talk to you about was not something we had a chance to talk about when it first happened, but I wanted to chat with you about it because it sort of overlaps a lot of what we used to talk about on the old radio show. Which is that ESPN finally announced that they were going to sell ESPN as a standalone streamer, which feels about 5 years too late, honestly. ESPN, if you don't know, comes as part of your cable bundle, and that cable bundle pays ESPN about $10 a month to have it because it's right up there. Fox News, ESPN, a couple others. If your cable package doesn't have it, people get angry so that they can demand a lot. So at the height of cable packaging at the mid 2000s, there was about 150 million people that had ESPN at $10 a month. No matter what, you do the math on that, ESPN was making a lot of money. So at the time, they asked John Skipper, the guy in charge of ESPN, what do you think it would cost if you spun it out into its own channel? And he said probably somewhere between $20 and $30 a month, which is more than Netflix. I don't think that they would sell it that much. But let's say they did come out with an ESPN streamer for $19.95, which is, if I had to guess what they would charge for it, that's what they would charge. Now, ESPN Plus, the channel that they package with Hulu and Disney Plus, I think is $4.99 a month. And it's like, if you want to watch women's soccer, the low tier women's soccer, you can do that. It doesn't have a lot of prime time kind of stuff. Angelo, is this a losing or winning proposition for ESPN? Is there a place for a sports streamer for cord cutters?
I made a living talking sports. I love sports. I wouldn't pay $20 a month for ESPN.
Yeah.
I studied this afterwards. Obviously, you got the games on Sunday night, the NFL package that they got on Monday nights. On Monday night now. But they're going to show that to me on ABC. I'm going to get that locally anyway when the Eagles are on. So I'm not going to get that much there. I trying to analyze it. And I went, you know what? I could live without PTI. I could live without Sports Center, which now you can get those highlights anywhere, all day, anywhere.
Yep.
I would miss Stephen A. Smith. I really love him. I think he's fascinating to watch. I love the way he delivers his opinion. So it comes down to me. How much do I want to pay a month to see Stephen A. Smith?
Right.
And I think $5 would be my limit. And nothing against Stephen. He's worth every penny. But there's nothing else there I'm dying to see.
Yeah.
They've lost me already. No, I don't want to spend all that money on ESPN. It's past its prime.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the only way this makes sense for them is if they do charge in that premium tier. I just don't see it happening for them. I mean, Netflix is doing their first live sporting event this month. It's like it's a silly one. It's like a charity golf thing. It isn't like any kind of like actual sporting event, but this is like they're dipping their toe in the water. I just think that it's going to be an established streamer like Netflix or YouTube or somebody grabbing the sports packages from ESPN. And I can see ESPN being a silo underneath a Disney banner or an ABC banner, but like as a standalone brand, I think you're right. I think the idea, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if I said you could ditch cable and get ESPN, I think people would have done it in a second. But if you've cut cords, you've already figured out how to get the sports that you want already. And if you haven't cut cords, you're not you're just going to keep it on cable. So who is this really for? I don't
think they'll even try it. I don't think they'll ever actually get to the point where they break it off and see how many people want to spend, because they're going to find out a lot of people won't spend.
Right.
It's not going to be worth it.
If I were ESPN, I would dump all of that content onto ESPN Plus. They already have 25 million subscribers at $5 a month, which I'll be honest, way more than I thought would ever do ESPN Plus. All of a sudden, you give them a value add proposition like that, where they get the full ESPN lineup. How many of those people tell their friends, hey, you got to watch ESPN Plus, and you put it as part of the Disney package, and then you charge like $7.95 for it, $8.95? I think that's how you do it, but not as a standalone channel. I think
that single point you just made, to me, places you above David Zaslov and just thinking TV. Let me go through again what we have recommended.
Sure.
Because we got a few things. If you're watching the terrible show right now, or at any point in the immediate future, it's probably a David Zaslov show. Know that ahead of time. If you want to see a really good show, it's a movie called Flamin Hot, out right now, directed by Eva Longoria on both Disney Plus and Hulu, a joint release. If you would like to see something really cool, you could see Somewhere in Queens on Demand, the Ray Romano project. Great. Always Sunny in Philadelphia, season 16 now available on Hulu. Lucky Hank available on AMC Plus, and Customer Wars, which is low-grade stuff, I'll acknowledge, but it's fun. A&E Tuesdays at 9.
And we should have Rhea back next week, right?
I believe she is in Tampa getting the sun even as we speak.
Very nice. Well, we can't wait to have Rhea back. Guys, if you enjoy the show, I can't urge you enough to tell people about it. Not David Zaslov. Although if he wants to come on, we'd invite him on to grill him a little bit about his decision making.
I would too. Let me tell you, I have no respect. I would love to do that.
So yeah, if you do know David Zaslov, please send a copy of this podcast to him and tell him we want him to be on the show with us. Please rate and review us. And as always, we appreciate your time and listening to us. Angelo Cataldi, Jay Black signing off. We'll see you next week.